Week 6 picks and predictions. So the first game we got is in London. It is the Ravens versus the Titans, and the Ravens are favored by 4. This Ravens team has been super confusing this year. Last week was probably the healthiest they've been all season, but they choked their lead away and lost versus Steelers. So both these teams have strong defenses, but I really believe the Ravens offense can finally break out this week. So Lamar's stats on paper didn't look great last week, but that's because the wide receivers dropped 5 balls. That's the most in a single game so far this season for any team in the league. PFF actually ranked Lamar as the #1 player last week despite the loss. Do with that information what you will, because I know some people like PFF, some people don't. I think the Ravens are going to bounce back in this game. Give me them to win straight up and cover the spread. Next, we got the Commanders at the Falcons. The Falcons are favored by 2.5. The Falcons' run game and defense has carried them to their wins this season, as well as kicker Younghoe Koo, who is super underrated and one of the best kickers in the league. But last week, Desmond Ridder, who had been struggling throughout this whole season, played one of his best games, maybe his best game in the NFL. And he has a real chance to continue this good play versus a Commanders secondary that has really struggled. If Washington's O-line can hold up, I think Sam Howell does have the chance to make this game close. So I'm going to take the Commanders with the points because the Falcons have only covered the spread once this year, but I am going to take the Falcons to win straight up because they're playing at home. They've been really good at home, and they're just a better team than the Commanders right now, in my opinion. 49ers at the Browns. The Browns are currently 7-point dogs at home, but this line might change because Deshaun Watson has just been ruled out. But the 49ers are simply the best team in the league by far. So no matter what the spread is, I'm going to take them to cover. The most up-to-date spread will probably be on the screen here. I'm going to take them to cover and win straight up. Saints at the Texans. The Texans are 1.5-point underdogs at home. And speaking of underdogs, quick thanks to Underdog Fantasy for sponsoring today's video. If you sign up with my promo code SheGotSports, they'll match your first deposit up to $500 for a limited time. So that means if you deposit $300, there'll be $600 in your account for you to play with. So I love to play fantasy football on there, and I'm going to make a private draw for subscribers. I'm going to put the link in the description for this Sunday, main slate games, which is 1 o'clock and 4 o'clock games. So first to join will be able to play against me. Click that link in the description and you can join. And don't forget to use that promo code to get your first deposit matched. So back to the Saints versus the Texans. The Saints defense has been insane this year, giving up the 4th fewest points in the league, while also giving up the 4th fewest passing yards and the 8th fewest rushing yards. They're also holding opposing quarterbacks to the worst passer rating in the league. As great as CJ Stroud has been this season, this is going to be a tough matchup for a young quarterback, so give me the Saints to win and cover. Panthers at the Dolphins. The Dolphins are favored by 14 at home. Dolphins with another win last week versus the Giants. Tua did throw for over 300 yards, but threw 2 not so great interceptions. So I do think the Dolphins definitely win this one, but I am tempted by that 2-touchdown spread. I really am. Bryce did have one of his better games last week versus the Lions. So you know what? I'll take the Panthers with the points and of course the Dolphins to win straight up. Seahawks at the Bengals. The Bengals are favored by 2.5. So this should be a super close game. The Seahawks are coming off the bye and the Bengals are coming off a game where their offense finally clicked for the first time this season. So yes, that Bengals game was versus a very bad Arizona secondary, but if Joe Burrow's calf is actually getting better and healing up, I think we're going to see that offense more frequently throughout the rest of the season. Since he's going up against a Seattle secondary that stats aren't great, but I felt have played pretty good in their past 2 games. I don't know, I just feel like that Seahawks secondary isn't as bad as the numbers say. I personally think they have a really good young secondary. They have a lot of young talented players. This should be a really close game, so I'm gonna take Seattle with the points, but I'm gonna pick the Bengals to win straight up at home. Colts at the Jaguars. Jacksonville is favored by 4. So I picked the Colts to pull off the upset last week, and it ended up working out for me. Minshew Mania is going to be starting this one against his former team, so you know, maybe we're going to get a revenge game here, but you know what? Don't be surprised if Gardner puts up really good stats versus the Jaguars. He's actually playing some of the best football in his career. He's 3-0 this season when he's played, including 1 start. And last week versus a very good Titans defense, he came in relief of Anthony Richardson, completing 11 of 14 passes for 115 yards, averaging over 14 yards per completion. This Colts team, it's all around a very feisty team on both offense and defense. So you know what? I'm going to pick them to pull off the upset again. Let's do it. And of course, I'll take them with the points. Vikings at the Bears. Chicago is a 3-point dog at home. Justin Fields and DJ Moore absolutely feasted versus the Commanders secondary last week. And good news for them is they're playing another not so great secondary in the Vikings this week. So I think their hot play should continue. On the other side, though, the Bears secondary also hasn't played well this year. But the good news for them is their starting secondary should be completely healthy for the first time since week 1 in this game. Another boost for this secondary is Justin Jefferson is not going to be playing for the Bears, so that obviously puts a lot less stress on this defense. The Bears have some mojo going into this game, and Justin Fields has played great these past 2 games. I think he'll continue his good play in this one, so give me the Bears to pull off the upset here. Patriots at the Raiders. The Raiders are favored by 3. Honestly, I don't know how they're only favored by 3. This is literally a revenge game for every single person involved with the Raiders, from Jimmy Garoppolo to Jacoby Myers to McDaniels to freaking Danny Amendola, who is now an assistant coach on the Raiders. We know Mac Jones was benched in his last 2 starts. It hasn't looked good for him at all. He's looked like one of the worst quarterbacks in the league. Give me the Raiders to cover the spread and win this one. There's just no way I can pick the Patriots after watching them get destroyed by the Saints last week. Lions at the Buccaneers. The Lions are favored by 3 on the road. Ooh, baby. This is going to be one of the best games of the week right here. I absolutely love this matchup. I love both these teams. They're both so easy to cheer for. We got 2 quarterbacks who are former number 1 overall picks, now on different teams than they were drafted at, and they're just trying to say, hey guys, we're actually still pretty good quarterbacks. Even though it didn't work out with the team that drafted us, we can still play in the NFL. The Bucs are coming off a bye, but in the previous week, they won 26-9 versus the Saints. Baker Mayfield completed 25 of 32 passes in that one for 246 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception versus a defense that has allowed the 4th fewest passing yards in the NFL right now. Jared Goff also had a great game last week. He completed 20 of 28 passes and threw 3 touchdowns and 0 interceptions versus the Panthers. While Jared Goff has been balling out this year, I do think this Bucs defense has a chance to slow him down. They do get pressure on opposing quarterbacks, and I think that can mess with Jared Goff's game. On the other hand, Aiden Hutchinson has been on a tear, but Baker Mayfield has taken the fewest sacks out of every starting quarterback in the league thus far. To win this game, the Bucs are going to have to rely on their passing game yet again because they have yet to really establish the run, but I think the Bucs can pull off the upset at home, so give me them to win, and of course, I'll take those points too. Cardinals at the Rams. The Rams are favored by a touchdown in this one. The Cardinals defense has made opposing offenses look really good, and opposing offenses that have struggled. For example, they let the Giants score the most points on them that they have all season, and just last week, they looked like they revitalized the Bengals offense that had been struggling all season. Cooper Kupp is now back for the Rams, and he looked really strong in his first game of the season, so I think him and Puka are absolutely going to shred this secondary, so give me the Rams to win and cover in this one. Eagles at the Jets. The Jets are 6.5-point dogs at home, so the Jets are really going to have to rely on their defense in this one if they want to have any chance to win this game, because I just don't see their offense doing anything versus this Eagles defense, especially because of their offensive line going up against this really strong Eagles defensive line. I don't know if Zach Wilson's going to have much time back there. The toughest thing for the Jets defense to do is going to be to stop the run. They have to stop the run if they want any chance at winning this game. We see what DeAndre Swift has done, and we know how Jalen Hurts can run the ball. I feel like the Eagles are just going to be able to run the ball this whole game. That's the weakest part of this Jets defense, is their run defense. So if the Eagles can't run the ball, the Jets have a chance, but I feel like the Eagles are going to be able to run the ball pretty easily versus the Jets, so I'm going to take the Eagles to win straight up and cover that spread, unfortunately. I do want the Jets to, make some noise as someone in New York, but I just don't see it happening versus the Eagles. Sunday Night Football, Bills versus the Giants. I'm simply saying no as a Giants fan. Just no. Just no to this game. The Bills are favored by 2 touchdowns, and of course they're going to cover because that is just New York Giants football right now. So yeah, we're losing this game by a lot, and I'm going to be embarrassed having to see this game on national television and everyone to know I'm a Giants fan after they watch this team on national television. So anyway, Monday Night Football should be a fun one. We got the Cowboys versus the Chargers. The Chargers are 2.5-point dogs at home. Austin Eckler should be back in action for this game, which will be a huge boost for LA, especially because he's a great pass catcher out of the backfield. That's kind of something they've been lacking a little bit these past few games. The Cowboys defense has slowly been coming back down to earth after an outstanding week 1 performance versus the Giants. Dak is going to have a chance to bounce back after his bad game last week versus the 49ers versus this Chargers secondary that has given up the most passing yards in the league so far this season. But the question is, will Dak be able to take advantage of this matchup opportunity? I don't know. Is he going to be able to shake off that last game? I trust Justin Herbert to take care of business here versus Cowboys secondary, so give me the Chargers to win, and of course I'll take them with the points.